On? Okay. Jim, are you ready? Shall we start? We are so privileged today to have as our speaker and musician, Jim Scott, who mixes songs and stories in a message of peace and reconciliation for a wounded world and our struggling American society. Amid wars, cataclysmic weather events, and a divisive politics, any long-term vision of sustainability is obscured, if not abandoned. We can generate that renewal of spirit for the work we have before us, nothing less than a job of healing the earth and ourselves. I'm Elaine Wells, your worship associate for today, and I want to welcome everybody into the community of First Unitarian Church of Omaha. We're so glad that you've chosen to spend your time with us online or in person, especially if you're a visitor. Are there any visitors here? Yes, thank you. I'm going to do a Baptist thing. It's not Unitarian, but would you mind standing up and saying your name? If you don't want to, that's okay, but I'd appreciate that. Okay. So we'll hope you'll all greet her in the coffee hour after the service. We are a community of all ages and abilities with a rainbow of gender and sexual identities and diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration and share common liberal values. We welcome you to bring your whole self into our sanctuary. If you're here in person, please take a couple of minutes now to greet the people around you, and sometimes a smile can lift the heart. So just greet each other, and I'll ring the bell when it's time to get back to the surface. Yeah, but I don't think that it got into the newsletter. I never saw it. Jim, it's done. It's settled. I'm not changing anything at this point. Jim is widely known to Unitarian Universalists for his anthem, Gather the Spirit, which is one of my favorites, and we're going to sing it later in the service. He played for years with the Paul Winter Consort, has toured the world, and made 9 recordings of his original music. With a long UU history, visiting more than 700 UU churches across the nation, Jim has written songs that are included in both of our hymnals, Singing the Living Tradition, the gray one, and Singing the Journey, which is our aqua-colored hymnal. He's driven all the way here from Massachusetts to be with us today, so let's give him a warm First Unitarian welcome.
a certain harmony, even a rhythm in the trees, in the song that we always know. As every road comes to its end, so every path must cross again. Now I'm returning to my heart, back to the song that is our own. In a circle of friends, in a circle of sound, all our voices will blend when we touch common ground. Let's do it again. Let's do it as a round. In a circle, in a circle, in a circle of circle, all our voices will they touch common ground. I know we all have to roll our eyes and whisper to each other after someone asks us to sing around together. Chalice at the commencement of our spiritual gatherings. Sometimes even at business meetings we light a chalice. At camps and conference centers, wherever you find Unitarian Universalists, you're likely to find a chalice or several. I know people who travel with chalices. I haven't quite ascended to that myself, but it's the symbol of our free faith, we say, our free search for faith, our free lack of faith, as some have put it. And it is symbolic of a great many things. On another Sunday, I can promise you it'll have an entirely different connotation. But today, it means to me, the earth is a vessel, sailing on with a fire in its heart. The inside of the earth, someone told me, I believe it was on NPR, is virtually as hot as the sun. Now, if it's that hot on the outside, where are the flames on, if it's that on the inside, where are the flames on the outside? On this cooling planet, we must be them. We are that energy force of Earth, burning, oxidizing, green and blue and white. When you see us from out in space, down here on the ground, fashioning from the earth a whole spectrum of color, providing this mysterious and mystical balance of peace and health and justice that we might call spirit. And I like this word spirit, as you'll see. May we read, and as we light the, will you handle the sacred matches while I talk? Thank you.
Whom you may remember as a longtime member of the church. She now lives in Arizona, and she was also our choir director. Charlotte, just use that thing to get the light from the candle, because this is hard to operate. She's not the only one who has difficulty with this. In fact, I think we're going to have to start recruiting members who will be chalice lighters, because it's frustrating and embarrassing, but that's okay. Okay. So we're going to have a different reading for the chalice lighting this morning. This is something I learned at church camp this summer, and I love it because it has gestures that go with it. So I'm going to demonstrate at first what the words and the gestures are. We light this chalice, so you can go on. We light this chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism, the church of the open mind, the church of the open heart, the church of the helping hands. Together we care for our earth and work for friendship and peace in our world. So let's try it together. We light this chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism, the church of the open mind, the open heart, I'm sorry, it was supposed to be the loving heart, the church of the helping hands. Together we care for the earth and work for friendship and peace in the world. So now, Do you want to sing With a Fire in Our Heart?
So, it says announcements. Did we do that?
Are you going to do A Fire in Our Heart? Or is that the ready?
I just did
Oh, okay,
before.
great.
That was,
You can tell we haven't gone through
you have
this
a different
together.
program than I have.
Now we're going to have our announcements. Sarah Copeland can't be with us because she's teaching in RE this morning, but she would like to talk about the Heart and Hand auction. The auction is creeping closer, and we promise it will be more of a treat than a trick. During coffee hour after service, come down and visit us at the auction table. You can pick up paper donation forms, ask any haunting questions that you may have, and even give us an opportunity to go out on the 50-50 auction, with half the pot going to a lucky winner and the other half supporting the community. We were made aware that the donation QR code on last week's brochure was not operational, but that's been fixed on the new prints. So don't ghost us. Stop by the table and let's make this year's auction a real success. And is Carolyn McNamara here? Don't see her. She wanted to make an announcement about circle suppers. How many of you have been to circle suppers in the past? Okay, so a lot of you already know what they are. It's an opportunity to get together with other members of the church in a small group at someone's house where the hostess prepares the main course and everybody else brings side dishes or desserts. It's a really fun time. I think our first one for this year is September 27th. Is that right? Okay, September 27th. So hope you'll sign up downstairs. There's a pink sheet that you've probably seen, and it gives you an opportunity to sign. Yeah, would you raise that up? Pink sheet. You can tell whether you want to be a host or a guest. It's a lot of fun. I encourage you to join in on that. And Reverend Dennis McCarty would like to make an announcement. Be sure to tell what time the movies start.
I will. I'm Reverend Dennis McCarty. I'm your ersatz Reverend Woodbury for the next 2 months. I just wanted to mention Tuesday night, it was stipulated in my sabbatical ministry contract that I would teach an adult RE course, and I thought, well, shoot, let's do something fun. So I'm going to teach movies and culture. And there's actually a few flyers floating around on what movies we'll be watching. The first one will be German director Fritz Lang's 1925 epic Metropolis. And that'll be Tuesday night at 6:30, and after that the times will be variable depending on the length of the movie. But Tuesday night at 6:30, there will be popcorn, and hopefully it will be interesting, and we will all be watching movies in a slightly different way by the time it's over. And you know what? I'm not going to bother you again. I'll sit over there.
Be there for that. That sounds great.
So now we're going to sing our opening hymn. It's number 347 in the Gray Hymnal. This is one of the most famous compositions that Jim has made, and I think we all love it. I certainly do.
Thank you. Well, I was going to move all the microphones and stand up, and I will on occasion, but for efficiency right now, I'll just stay right here. It was a desperate attempt to get something into the Gray Hymn Book. The Hymn Book Committee, and I even knew people on the committee, just rejected this song and that song. This one's too syncopated. This one's modulates too much. There was something wrong with everything. This one has too many verses. And it was just before Thanksgiving. I lived in Eugene, Oregon. I was going to play for the interfaith service on the Wednesday night. And I thought, I'll write a new song. And I have to write a song they'll put in the hymn book. Okay, quarter notes, just da, 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 and put the boogieing in the accompaniment. So, and they took it. So I'm delighted this song has introduced me to Unitarian Universalists all over the world. And here, Canada, UK, Australia. So I'm going to start halfway through and sing you the refrain, sort of, as an introduction. May we stand as willing and able and I'll sing you this introduction, and that'll just be me and the people who weren't paying attention. Gather in peace. I was kidding, you can sing too. Gather in thanks. Gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Join us at the beginning. Gather the Spirit, harvest the power. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Our trials in this life appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit of heart and mind. Seeds for the sowing are laid in store. Nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy, sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit, growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun. Winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in praise, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. We are gathered once again in that, we may be seated. We are gathered once again in that dangerous bastion, the church that threatens family values, the church that wants to undermine the authority of the Father, the church that has half forgotten the Creator in its pagan worshiping of the creation, the church that those right-wing radio ministries have warned us about, this church of bleeding heart liberalism, some thinly veiled front for leftist politics, of homosexual propaganda. I like it here. The church that assures you you won't be going to hell no matter what you do in this life. And the church that often leaves the first few pews open for the diversity we're sure is going to show up. We're open to it. The church of practicing witches whose very assertion they don't believe in any devil confirms they must be accomplishing some of his work. And the church that sings carefully, not sure if there are any words we can totally subscribe to and not be questioning ourselves tomorrow or in the next worship committee meeting. The church that is not sure if there is, in fact, anything that we can celebrate with that passion and abandon those other churches hold for Jesus the Savior, Son of God the Father. Although something lurks in us, we might be missing out on some of their fun. It is that search for ecstasy, enlightenment, and other things, including free coffee, which is often the only thing whose origins we don't question, that brings us together. This is my church, and I'm a zealot. This is the church that says to everyone, you're not only welcome, but we need you and your creative input in our continuing, dynamic, and evolving culture. Diversity is a strength, a survival mechanism we believe in. We face the challenge of weighing new and ancient wisdom in our search for guidance in this life, as well as the continuing creation of our own mythology. It's not an easy job. And we come together in meetings like this to offer each other ourselves for sustenance. Now, as I started at a Universalist church, I'm so old, before the merger, and the minister used to say things like, well, that's about all I had to say. But I'm not going to stop now. Yay, something's going to happen. A little extemporaneous something. And I just want to paraphrase. I said, you won't be going to hell no matter what you do in this life. Just to explain to anyone, that is a basic tenet of universalism. I remember my dad, as we left that church, I might have been 5 or 6, could be 7. My dad was taller than me, deep voice. I had him for math in high school. He said, we Universalists don't believe, I guess it had come up in a hymn or something, I think The Fires of Hell was in an old hymn, and he said, we Universalists don't believe that a loving God would sentence us to an eternity of damnation and hell. Well, that was a liberating thing to find out when I was a kid. And it's the gift we give to our young people and grown-up people to question that bombardment of common accepted knowledge. And we got our work to do now, because there's people who apparently think we used to be a Christian country, whatever that was, and everything will be solved if we get back to that. And separation of church and state and freedom of religion have become just perverted and corrupted to the point that we got work to do to keep our doors open and keep our signs out there no matter what happens, if we all get deported or something. Pardon me, he went a little too far there. So I am delighted always, wait, that's not what I want. I much enjoy playing a song for all ages, even though it looks like most everybody's over 21 out here. I wrote this song when I went to Nicaragua. That was 40 years ago, after the revolution, where they threw out Somoza, the dictator, and they really started quite a liberal and democratic government then. And of course, we had a president then who's created a fraudulent army and called them the freedom fighters, and that's a whole other story. But I just want to say, I got there and I met lots of kids, and they speak Spanish. I speak mostly English, but we gestured and smiled a lot and made peace. Made peace because you make friends. More friends, more peace. I wrote a song about it. It has my first verse in Spanish in it. Expect you all to sing along. Well, I think I'd like to be your friend. I think that we could really have some fun. A real companion is so much better than pretend, and games are better played by more than one. So I think I'd like to be your friend. You look sort of different from me, and I guess that I was not too sure about you. But if you like the way that different colored flowers go together, well, I guess that goes for people too. And I'd like to be friends with you. You see, I'm kinda new in this school, in this church, and I don't know a lot about your town. I don't know all your language, but I can play it cool. This making new friends is not as bad as it sounds. You know, I'm kinda fun to have around. I can be serious or I can be a clown. I can make you wanna giggle when you're wearing a frown. Well, it's too much trouble to be nasty, I've found. Porque quiero ser tu amigo y tengo otros amigos que vas a conocer. Una vez que empecemos no se sabe cuándo acabará, pero es maravilloso ver el círculo crecer, que todos nuestros amigos sean amigos. Everybody, la 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 la. International language, la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. What did he say? Well, I think I'd like to be your friend. And there's other friends I'd like you to know. Once we start, there's no telling just where it all will end. But it's great to see the circle grow. We'll get all of our friends to be friends. We won't have to be afraid when we're friends. No, we won't want to fight when we're friends. And if kids can do it, well, maybe grown-ups can be friends. We'll get the whole world to be friends. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Well, usually at this point we'd be dismissing the kids to go off and do something more interesting now. But I don't see that we have young people to process out this morning. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. We're going to change the furniture now. Chiropractic before we start is always. Excuse me, I did it again without warning you. September 11th is coming. Some thoughts. On the day after what we now call the attack on America, or know by its cryptic numerals 9/11, my garden yielded up corn and beans and cucumbers, eggplant, persistent and unjudgmental as the sun that follows a storm. This orchard and garden is often my asylum, and I find rooting in the soil to be fitting response in troubled times. Blanketed by winter snows, it still makes a soothing labyrinth for a meditative walk. Now seasons of bloom and fruit have come, and and gone again, while the perpetrators, long since identified, still haunt our collective soul. Immersed in this lush and healing context, I find myself imagining the conversation I might have had with Osama bin Laden. I picture he could have been a farmer, a rich one, if given the chance. He'd probably see my abundance as the spoils of evil powers, or maybe I'd just be a peasant in the eyes of such an extraordinarily rich man turned international criminal. He'd probably see that abundance, but I dream we could talk about injustice and struggle for equality in this sanctuary I've fashioned by my own hands. As the dog runs circles in her yard nearby, I would speak for nonviolence. He would have to educate me as to the oppression of his people and no doubt make the case for revolution. Now, some may take offense at my attempt to even humanize such a monster. The most disturbing part to reconcile, I think, is that he at least saw himself as a deeply religious man. I offer no defense for his actions, but world leaders have long sent young people into battle to kill, convinced of their justification. And some perverse version of Muslim cult holds no monopoly on vengeance as policy. Perhaps it is not to the hardened criminal, blinded by hate, that I speak. I imagine listening to the anger and the accusations of all the people he claims to represent here in my tranquil garden. Among apple, peach, and cherry trees, there would be enough beauty and serenity all about us to keep us engaged. In the company of swelling pumpkins or savoring a fresh tomato, we might talk of the horrors of war. Amid roses and fragrant herbs, we might consider what he could possibly hope to accomplish for his people through violence. There is, I suppose, no real place for negotiation with the perpetrators of such crimes. Mr. bin Laden, or whoever it is like him, would argue there is no negotiating with the evil U.S. and the morally corrupt Western powers. Under the grape arbor, we might argue and disagree, and yet still be able to continue. But I'm afraid there might not be enough magic here, enough aura of harmony to keep our arguments constructive. It's not a large enough sanctuary to hold our dialogue in its energy field. One could easily run off in a fit of anger, past the picket fence fortresses of the middle class, out to the highway and the city, where bastions of excess and consumption are monuments to a society dangerously out of balance with itself and the earth. It will take a bigger garden, a larger and more inclusive sanctuary, where time is suspended for depth of reflection. I pray for that garden of all the earth, where all are included, between the quiet where one might speak and be heard, and the sustenance of food, fresh air, and natural systems busy in their harmony of symphonic proportions. Only then might our dialogue really take root. I am waiting in the silence. I am waiting for the dawn. I am often found in reverence, though from many sources drawn. It is not mine to fight for justice, for it will not be won this day. I am peace, and I am waiting for the lost to find their way. You'll not find me set in judgment of the vain or of the weak, But I rise to meet the weary with the solace that they seek. Still I have not fed the hungry, nor strewn wealth among the poor. I am peace and bring but mystery and the patience to endure. I cannot save the suffering from their anger and their pain. Only open doors of insight so the healing comes again. To the proud I am elusive, to the humble I am near. May the broken rise and look beyond the trappings of their fears. I am found among the seasons, autumn's death and spring's rebirth, as relentless their momentum as the turning of the earth. All are welcome in my presence, for only love can conquer hate. I am peace, and for the harvest I have planted and will wait. A great friend of mine, she used to be my manager, is a very Christian person. She'll say that she talks to God and God is He, and things like that. And so I honor all that. It's beautiful imagery, I would say. And, I take it as more imagery and poetry, perhaps. But she said something to me that just got me going. This is on the phone. And I said, well, is God just for humans? Oh no, everything, God, really everything. Because I saw on Facebook, somebody wrote, well, I'm so sorry your ancient faithful dog died, but I'm sure she's up in heaven happily chasing squirrels. Heaven's not so good for squirrels, I guess. So I said, well, is it just for people here on this little earth, or, everything, plants, animals, or is it the whole solar system, the whole universe? Oh, yes, the whole universe. Do you have any idea how big a job that would be? And we are pretty sure, they say it's a mathematical surety that there's people out there, or there's something, there's evolved life out there somewhere else. We'll never get to it, but there it is. So this is a poem. If you recall, we got the news that these two black holes collided in space. We hadn't seen such a thing with our Hubble telescope, or what's the other, we know so much more about way out there now, back to almost the beginning of the universe. That's amazing to me. And I think there's a whole spirituality to that. And maybe that ought to be another principle for us. The scientific method, could that be a principle? And life. I know we say the seventh principle is what keeps me a UU, I guess. It's given me a thing to do for the last few decades. This reverence for the interdependent web of all life as we know it. And life could be a lot more things than plants and animals, I think. There are friends of mine who speak in terms of kind of anthropomorphizing, I guess you'd say, the rock people, the mountain, the river beings, and so on, not meaning fish. But when you get down to molecules and, viruses and bacteria, that's really what it's about. They'll be here. We might not, but they'll be here. Here's the poem. It's a bit of a rant, so I just want to warn you. O God of the two black holes that collided 2 billion years ago, but we just felt it now because it was so far away. And God of the 275 million or so stars that will be born on this Earth Day and again tomorrow. And God of this little star with 8 or 9 planets, depending on who's counting. And God of this little planet, are you the same God? God of the elements, water, fire, air, earth, and of viruses and bacteria and DNA, of photosynthesis and contagion and immunity, of growth and struggle, of suffering and surviving, of crimes and mistakes, of wounds and of healing. God of evolution, diversity, nature, and lately, humanity, and of ideals and passion, of greed and dominance, of civilization, agriculture, industry, fossil fuels, and plastic. God of science and nonsense. God of truth and lies. Oh, God of war, oppression, enslavement, genocide, the refugees, the dispossessed, the lost, the broken. God of hate and anger, and hiding right behind them, fear, and of amends and compassion, of cooperation. Now, this is important, of cooperation. God of memory, stories and lessons, of art and expression, of sharing and understanding, of love. Was love involved back there with the 2 black holes? And God of this little world, are you the same God for this little group on this little part of this little ball that has brought us again the spring and summer, made for us the seasons, the leaning toward and then away from the sun, awakening that lust for life, adventure, exploration, risk, ecstasy, awareness, aging, and enlightenment, where all our mistakes of the past become the compost for the fertile earth from which all is made anew. Are you still there? I know this is getting long. God of the senses, of beauty, of sorrow and elation. God for that one particular species with the power of language and learning, the power of creativity to have made you in our image. It was the best we could do with our small minds. We who don't even know your name, we fight about that, who in this last flash of time have come to some little perspective on the whole thing. We're working on it. God of the wisdom of matter and energy trading places, of big bangs and expanding universes, and benign lack of oversight and trust in the evolution of things to have let us go here with Eden. And maybe the same, but different, on lots of other planets, around lots of other stars, in 500 billion galaxies, hundreds of billions of stars in each, 1 in 6 stars with planets around them. The odds are pretty good, God, of trillions of atoms evolving at this very moment. Thanks for all this. So there have been books written several in the last couple of decades. I know of two, but I heard of others that are kind of studies of all the religions of the world, and the premise that spiritual practice is good for you. You live happier, healthier, longer with a spiritual practice. Appears any spiritual practice, it turns out, or most any. And the thread that goes through all this, says one author that I heard interviewed on NPR, gratitude. Gratitude that the sun, that we turn toward the sun again. The sun came up another day to be together. That gratitude. That's just a challenge for Unitarian Universalists, because we're not sure who to thank. Far beyond the grasp of hands, or a light to meet the eye, past the reaches of the mind, there find the key to nature's harmony in an architecture so entwined. Like the birds whose patterns graze the sky and carry all who join in love, expanding the message of peace will rise in flight, taking the weight of the world upon its wings, with the oneness of everything. Peace is in the dance of trees, who stir before the first breath of wind is yet perceived. Trust in the song, becoming one with the dance, and all mysteries can be believed. Like the sorrow of the clouds, whose tears fall carrying on the soil, undemanding. Lessons of love are given that we might rejoice in the music they bring of the oneness of everything. Songs of lives long past that touch our own are written in the earth, forever giving. And now to maintain the harmony gives to us all lives worth living, for the oneness of everything. Still we seek to find a truth that we might understand and reduce to terms defined, vast and immeasurable, time and space, also overwhelmingly designed. Oh, passing years, just might I know the faith that winters in the heart, to be reborn in spring, to hear and to feel the pulse of life enters my soul is a song to sing of the oneness of everything. Didn't trip on any chords so far. So life is no doubt all around the universe. But all we know about life is really here on Earth. And we know a lot more about it lately, which gives me hope. But we need more than hope. We need a vision, and we need a plan, and we need a will. That seems to be in short supply. With the Paul Winter Consort years ago, I was part of creating a big choral work called the Missa Gaia Earth Mass. Now, Missa is Latin and Gaia is Greek, but who knew that? It sounded good. And it came from James Lovelock, scientist, who wrote his book, The Gaia Hypothesis, about, 40-some years ago. And his premise is, because he's a scientist, a hypothesis is that the Earth is one living being. The Earth is one living organism, and we are all a part of that one living being. Well, this gets semantic, arguments about the semantics from scientists and so on. But most of us take it as more than poetry, I think. It was not long after that book came out, and in fact our piece of music, that the Unitarian Universalists at our democratic General Assemblies voted to include the seventh principle of the interdependent web of all life. I was born just after World War II. Rebecca Solnit, a wonderful writer, wrote about, after World War II, human cities, 60 million people died directly in the war, but actually, at least another 50 or 60 million in other ways. Human cities are in ruins, but the jungles and the rainforests and the wild places of the earth were still relatively wild at that time. We'd been warned, for at least a century before that of what things we're doing, but it is since then, in my lifetime, a war on the earth unprecedented ever in the history of this planet. There are 3 times as many people and 1/4 of the insects. 40%, some say, of wild nature that we had 75 years ago. You'd think we would value our survival enough to invest in it. The current pandemic changed a lot of thinking fast. We spent a lot on that problem. What'll it take to invest in our survival as a species? The Great Pacific Garbage Patch, garbage being a somewhat misleading term, we're talking mostly of plastic floating in the ocean, was originally described as bigger than Texas. Oh, but now it's bigger than India. Oh, but we found another one. Plastic decays into microscopic, tiny shreds. They are more now in the water, in the air, are more a cloud, and they are everywhere. Plastic is now forming into rock. Volcanic eruptions under the ocean melt plastic and form it into rock. It's called plastiglomerate. There's a new term for us. It will be petrified for millions of years. Plastic's now in all of us. It's in our water. It's in our food. Don't get me started about plastic bottles. What a great scam. Most of us probably are old enough to remember there were not plastic bottles of water. There were a lot more water fountains, like there were a lot more phone booths too, but what a scam. Put water in a plastic bottle. There's 23,000, 230,000 microplastics in a sizable bottle of water. But so is strontium-90 in all of us. So are DDT and PCBs and BPA, bisphenol, PBDEs, polybrominated diphenyl ethers. Then there's good old formaldehyde, asbestos, heavy metals, and lately PFAS, polyfluoroalkyl substances in our drinking water and in us. Bill McKibben, who wrote The End of Nature, I heard him say this on the radio just recently, says we have 2 bottle caps worth of plastic around our brains. It's in a mother's milk, it's in the placenta, it's in our hearts, plastic. The human race evolved in the last century into something new. We were getting bigger, living longer, healthier, but now, of course, the pandemic took 2 years of life expectancy off of us, so we wonder if we'll get it back. But this stuff is killing us. More danger to us than terrorists and intruding armies, says the Pentagon. There's only one solution: stop what we're doing. But, this is hard for me because, I know a lot of things about what will make me live happier, healthier, and I don't necessarily do it. Why is that? I must be an addict. I must be wounded, alienated, torn from the very interconnectedness that would heal me, filling the emptiness with any kind of diversion, immediate gratification, while the spirit of life on earth is dying. Here's what keeps me going. That would be a depressing place to stop, wouldn't it, right there? So here's what keeps me going. Gets me up in the morning. It's my job now. I'm a musician. I practice the guitar. I try to play the right notes. I write songs about most everything. But my persona has become the guy who writes songs about the earth. And that's good because I get work out of that. Here's my premise. Everything that is me, the earth modeled a long time ago. The circulatory system, the water cycle. Now that I have that, the earth modeled that a long time ago. The breathing system, the lungs of the earth, the green things, they breathe out, we breathe in. The enclosed system, that is, with an outer membrane, the ozone layer. The digestion of the earth, the soil. I know, entropy, everything breaks down everywhere in the air, the water. But we say figuratively, things go back to the earth. And they come back again. The heart of the earth, not just because I'm romantic about it, but I am. Trees, jungles, rainforests, they're physically the pump that pull the water out of the earth and send it back to evaporate into the sky and send it to hopefully where it's needed, the pumping the water cycle. If there's a brain of the earth, could we possibly be it? We've been able to learn, develop a language, have wisdom in books, computer software. There's hope for us. And the conscience of the earth, we better be that too. This healing will require a spiritual backbone of some sort. I try not to say anything about our administration, our government, but I don't see it in our government, that spiritual backbone. Gratitude and responsibility, that's where it's at. I never got it about the bearded old man in the sky, much closer to home. I do get it about this very round woman in the sky. And I'm comfortable with her having a feminine aspect because we are made of her. She is our mother. We are made in her image. A little less spherical perhaps, but we have all of these qualities that Mother Earth had when we took our jangled masses of protoplasm and left the ocean and began to think we were separate. We had this model. And from whom? From our mother. Is she a deity, a goddess? Well, that's beautiful imagery. I don't exactly go there. She's our ancestor. We're made of her, and we're constantly changing places with her. Everything I've drunk in the last week or two is my eyes. Everything I've eaten and drunk in the last few months is my skin, and all the way down to my bones, everything I've eaten and drunk in the last 5 or 6 years has been replaced. If you want to become a Big Mac, you can. So everything I do in my life better be to build and maintain that sustainable living, Gaia, Mother Earth, Mother Nature, because we're all one thing. Or else I'm in the way. There's no description for what our job is, short of healing. Our job and our children's children's job is a job of healing the earth and each other.
And a perfect segue. A perfect segue is to ask Mark Lostikov to come up and make an announcement about what we can actually do today to contribute to the healing of our earth.
I should have used that one. The EPA is currently considering a rescission of a rule, a finding that greenhouse gases are harmful, and they're taking comments. So I feel it's incumbent on all of us to submit a comment to the EPA and say that greenhouse gases are indeed harmful, and they need to keep that finding. So I will leave some slips of paper somewhere back there where you can see a link to their website, and please go there and leave a comment. Thank you.
And Jim, did you say you're going to be singing the last song during the offertory?
Yes, I think.
Okay.
I think we put too much in here. We should just.
That's okay. We're getting our money's worth, aren't we? I think this is a wonderful program. I wish it would last all afternoon. But I want to say to you that each week, half of our loose currency in the offering plate is donated to a local cause that resonates with Unitarian values. Today's recipient is Nebraska Abortion Resources, which is also known as NEAR. This is our state's abortion fund. Started in 2020, NEAR helps connect people to abortion resources and distributes free birth control to communities all over Nebraska. NEAR believes that it is essential for folks to have control over their own lives, and it's committed to making an abortion access available across the Midwest. So now we'll have our offertory. Yes. There's something else to say. Joys and concerns. We're going to make this a little bit abbreviated because two of us wrote about my 80th birthday party last night. We want to thank everybody who made it such a joyful occasion. So many people volunteered to help. And I also want to thank all the people who just came and brought their food and brought flowers and gifts. It was a wonderful event that I'll never forget. Thank you. Oh, you have another one? Okay.
Yay.
Colin McDonald.
Be careful there. Make it difficult.
From Carol Ramsey saying that Marie McIntosh is recovering at Keystone Rehab after a fall. Her husband, Doug, asked that the church members send get well cards to their address, their home address, 3136 Reed Street, Omaha, Nebraska, 68152. And from Lynn Thompson, saying Tommy Thompson is in the hospital facing challenges as a result of several falls this summer.
Okay, take it away, Jim.
So, that's a different one. It's got all kinds of cryptic notation on here. My wish for you, as now we part, is for greater peace to fill your heart with dreams as vast as starry space. So hurt and anger know no place. May truth be shared and wounds be healed, and joy for living be revealed. Through every fate and circumstance, may hope lead weary steps to dance, and may your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the light, then softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. This is number 1059 in our teal book. I'm gonna stay sitting down, but may we stand and sing this together. And may your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the light, then softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. I syncopated a little bit, just go with me. Let's do it again. And may your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn, to sing awake the light, then softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. Well, it turns into a 4-part round. Ha ha ha. But I know we can do it in at least 2 parts. If you'll self-select, you know who you are. If you can do the second part, I'll show you where it starts. If you're unsure, stick with me. Then again, if you're more adventurous or lost, you can be part 3 or part 4. And may your life be as a song, resounding with the dawn. May your life be as a singing with the light, so softly serenade the stars, ever dancing circles in the night. Ever dance, and may your life Wisdom was a striking young man. He met a beautiful woman named Love. Now, I'm not really sure who was the man and who was the woman. Maybe they were the same sex. I'd like to keep you, said Wisdom. You can't own me, said Love, but I love you anyway. What would it cost to know you'd always be there, asked Wisdom. Don't ask such questions, said Love. Just look at the stars. Why? Wisdom pondered. Are they telling us something? Oh, chill out, chided Love, which made Wisdom happy in a funny sort of way. And so it was that Wisdom fell in love with Love and thus became truly wise. Let's go in peace.
This is it.
Join us for coffee hour.
Cheers.
Join us for coffee hour and analysis.